So, Edin, tell me what life was like for you growing up as a kid. Let's roll back the years.
Whoa. Um, it was very, very happy childhood. And I'm from Bosnia, from Mostar, the town with the bridge. Um, yeah, it was very safe and sunny and beautiful. I just have really great memories, about growing up uh, with the parents. I have a brother. Town is very beautiful and it's got a river and it's a great place. Well,
Hmm.
it was a great place actually.
Hmm.
um, yeah. What else do you want to know?
how did you end up in the UK and why the UK specifically?
Oh, so that's a bit of the long story, which I'll try to make as short as I can. I study civil engineering in my town, and I'm from a mixed marriage. My parents. I'm not very political. No religion, no politics. They were just a kind of normal, ordinary family. Um, I worked in the bar with lots of friends and girlfriends, what have you. And I was on my last exam on civil engineering. It's quite tough university, lots of maths and heavy study. And I was literally preparing the final exam, and then when the war came, really unexpectedly into into my life, into my town, and yeah, it was just literally from one day to another. I decided to leave. That was my decision. Because of various reasons. And yeah, it was. We got my girlfriend and I. We went through the. We left the town in a car. We went to Zagreb, to another town. We asked for two tickets. They said, London, more or less. They're not going into details. And yeah, next day we were here
Mm.
in Heathrow, catapulted, from one life to another. Uh, Yeah, I didn't speak English when I came here. I studied French in my schools, and yeah, I thought it would be 6 months. Everything would quiet down, go back to know my normal life. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was happy where I was. Well, that was in May 1992.
Mm.
uh, Now I live still here after more than 30 years. I have my wife. She's from Sicily. I have two kids. They're from, well, that's an interesting thing actually. When I asked them where are you from, they said we are English.
Hmm.
But then I said, okay, yeah, okay, you're born here, but what about your background? Oh, and it's this dynamics about where you're from, and so it's interesting family, put it this
Hmm.
way.
What was that transition like going from Bosnia to the UK? Perhaps what were maybe some of the surprising parts of the cultural differences?
Um, well, I think I was quite smart in my town. It was, it's a small place, 100,000 people. Coming to London with, 7, 10 million, how many people live here? It is a big place. So at first I didn't have a big culture shock because Yugoslavia, Bosnia was quite open. It wasn't a communist country, so we could travel, we could see the music. So for me, this was all nothing new. Um, I think for me the biggest kind of challenge was to live by myself, to provide for myself, to find a way to earn money, to stay, to pay the rent, and to understand this. Because I live with my parents, with the family.
Hmm.
I never lived with my own. And the other challenge was that girlfriend of mine, she left me with one of my best friends here in London. So I was literally by myself here. I didn't speak English. My parents are there, you know, in the war, and just have to rely, I guess, on myself, like 100%.
Hmm.
Every day was a new day, you know, it's new survival kind of thing.
And what kind of jobs were you doing when you moved to the UK?
So my first job was in a restaurant in Paddington, which is 2 floors, Italian restaurant. I didn't speak English. I just came in. They put me in the basement to wash the dishes. It was one of these jobs where you do like a split shift. You do morning, evening, and you do like a half a day off or something. No dishwasher, washing, big heavy things. You know, 300-400 seats restaurant. But because I work hard, and one of the reasons I work hard is to not to think about the reality. You know, I progressed. I really learned a lot about what's going on. So from there, I went to another place in the kitchen again. I became head chef, uh, and then waiter, manager, area manager, and yeah. So I went through kind of from the very, very bottom to all the different steps in the hospitality.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So you go from a kitchen porter, when you fast forward a couple of years, you end up opening your first restaurant, Firezza, if I got the pronunciation right.
Firezza,
Firezza.
almost. Yeah, it comes there. Yeah.
Um, the pizza market is such a saturated market. You've
Yeah.
got big incumbents. You've got Pizza Hut, Pizza Express, um, Domino's Pizza, Papa John's. In such a saturated market, what made you think there's an opportunity here?
That's exactly what my boss asked me when I said to him. I think I was in a Starbucks. I was the operations manager when I started this with my partner. Um, he said to me, "You're crazy. You know, there's so many pizza places." Uh, but you see, the way I see it is completely different. I think entrepreneurs and founders, there are two different ways to start a business. One is to, well, there are more than 2 days, but two main ways. Is one is to capture existing market, and the other one is to invent new market. Okay, I'm a big fan of capturing the existing and doing something which exists, doing it better, doing it differently, improving on existing. Um, and I think that's what we did. You know, most of these players at that time on a huge market, they were doing very similar kind of mediocre thing when it comes to quality, the service, the food, the customer experience, the journey, you know, the technology and everything else. And yeah, it was actually quite easy to say, well, I can do this better. There were so many touch points where I felt things could be done differently and improved on existing. And that's exactly what we did. You know, we went to Naples, we've hired a Napolitan pizza chef, the best pizza in the world, where, you know, originated. We came here with the pizza al metro, which is for the big families, all the best ingredients. It was a very fun place, vibrant, big wood fire oven in the middle of the room. And yeah, it was a great concept, I think.
What was the point you realised? So you opened your first restaurant. What was the
Yeah.
point you realised we're onto something here, and I can open a second, third, fifth, sixth?
You see, there was my partner and I. We have very entrepreneurial mind. You know, looking back now, I can say that at that time for me it was just normal. But now I talk to lots of founders, lots of businesses. It was something that we always felt from day one. We always wanted to have a smaller part of something big rather than a big part of something small. So we always wanted to open a brand, to grow the brand, to make it big, you know, to become the best pizza company in the world. It didn't happen. There's big aspirations to be the best pizza company in the world, but we did a small chunk of it, which was enough for us. So we knew from day one we wanted to create a brand. We were never going to stop in one.
Mm-hmm. Looking back on your journey, what kind of mistakes did you make that you think, if I was doing it again, this is
Oh,
something I wouldn't do, or I'd
man,
approach
where
it a
do you want me
different?
to start? But that's the thing, you see, what we did is like we learn everything by mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that literally. I mean, just from strategy to, you know, so you're asking me what's the biggest one?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest one, I guess, was not to have a mentor who could really be part of the team, somebody who already, passed the journey and he could really influence the strategy and point us in the right direction. Because we had this huge, enormous energy, but it was very often was hit and miss. Like, for example, we were very busy at the beginning, the first side. It was just like queues at the door. Everybody was writing about us. It was great. But we didn't make any money
Mm-hmm.
because the wages were too high. The ingredients, the cost of sales, the, you know, and you do this until you realize when the cash flow hits you, it's like, oh, what happens,
Mm-hmm.
So controlling being in charge of the numbers, understanding your numbers, doing forecasting, doing the cash flow, all the things I do now for other people, to advise founders. And so I think having somebody who could hold our hands and really kind of be not just kind of outside, but be part of the team, who could really influence the strategy and decision making
Mm-hmm.
and being a mentor to during this whole journey would, I think it would cut our journey in half, and we would probably double the return what we had at the exit.
Mm-hmm. So you went from leaving Bosnia to the UK, not speaking English, scaling a really successful company, and then you end up leaving it in 2016. What was your initial feeling? Was it elation, happiness, a bit of sadness?
um, well, I think that what happened was the timing of the exit, especially when you have more than one partner and you have your board, your investors. Everybody, most of the time, people have different agendas. So for somebody, timing is right. For somebody, is not. You know, um, so that was a bit of challenging, and the market was changing very rapidly. So we had a strategy to double the size of the company. We bought out institutional investors. We brought in the angel investors, group of angel investors. So the idea was to double the size of the company, but then the market was changing rapidly. This all the technology, the aggregates were coming in. So it was too many unknowns, and after 15 years, you want certainty. So yeah, it was the whole process was quite difficult. It was hard. And due diligence was 6 months. We chose to go with Pizza Express, who is a market leader at the time. And on the end, you climb this mountain, to kind of build the business from the idea, essentially. And I remember it was Friday night in February in the city, very cold, raining. They walked out. We walked out. It was just like bouncing back and forwards. You have a deal, you don't have a deal, And on the end, we decided we had a deal, and it's all done. And I was so tired. My wife was in Italy with my kids, and it was Friday night, late, last train home. And when you get it, finally, it was like, really? Is that it? I was expecting this kind of Thursday afternoon, sunny day, everybody out, you come out, have a big party with everyone. It was nothing like it. It was the last train home, come back home by myself, have a glass of wine, and just crash and went to sleep. And that was it, really. And I remember thinking, immediately, what's next? It wasn't this feeling of, oh, now that's it, I've done it, I can relax. For me, it wasn't like this. I don't know for other people, but I was just thinking, what should I do now?
Mm-hmm. Lots of exited founders, they talk about this feeling of when they leave, they climb the top of a mountain. They spent 20 years building this really great, successful business. And they expect to have this like feeling of elation, great happiness when they exit. But a lot of them end up talking about this lack of purpose, feeling a bit lost. It's been almost a decade since you've left your company. What have you been up to? And how have you been keeping yourself in check?
um, But we had COVID, didn't we? It's kind of very unusual for any period of time. I went traveling, and I was always thinking what to do next, and always see opportunities in different things. And I did lots of public speaking, mainly around Europe, supporting refugee entrepreneurs actually, uh, and that was something I was very passionate about. And I started a few businesses. One of my ideas was to challenge the British pub uh, kind of space, which I thought all the pubs are very similar. Some are better, some are worse, but the music is not great, the food is okay, service is not great at all. So I wanted to attack those three things. We started with one pub in West London. It did well. Then we opened a second one in Hackney, and then COVID happened. So my plan was like, oh, this is not gonna work.
Hmm.
Change the plan. So yeah, and I started also the company in Norway with my Norwegian partners called Pizza Mano, which is doing well. I have multiple different smaller projects, vegan, mainly working with supporting founders and entrepreneurs in different kind of stages of their journey. And that's what lately I've been focusing on. That's what I want to do. So we started this company called Amplify with my two co-founders. One is in branding, the other one, Olchar. Ashar is in the fundraising, and myself in the kind of operation and in strategy. So that's what we do. We go from idea to exit, where we take a founder either early stage to scale up, or just from idea to we go through whole program of branding, marketing, financial modeling, operations, compliance, to pitch the fundraising, scale up, and sales process and exit. So it's quite a wide range. But what we have is all three of us, we have experience in doing this. So it's not very theoretical. So it's all based on the real kind of nitty gritty experience and mistakes we made in the past, as you mentioned.
So you've been keeping yourself very busy.
Hmm.
Now, what advice would you give to someone who's perhaps in their early 20s, they're a migrant, they're a refugee, they're in a brand new country, new culture, new language? What advice would you give to someone like that?
One main advice, I was often asked this question, is to adapt and to integrate culturally and all different levels to this to the new country. Don't hang out in the pockets of your comfort zone with your friends from the same town or same country all the time. Go and meet different people. Understand what the British culture is all about. And the way I see this country is really land of opportunities. If you work hard, if you're open-minded and speak the language, obviously, and you can do anything. That nobody cares where you're from. Uh, if you contribute to the society, if you contribute to to everyone involved, people love you. So I think that the main thing is to integrate, to really look at it as to understand, how this whole country is functioning, what is important, how can I contribute.
Great. And
Uh,
as a final question, what would you say you've learned about the relationship between money and happiness?
oh, the the money is definitely not happiness. That's what I learned, and I think happiness comes from within. And I'm gonna say something which I don't know if you want to keep on records or not, but I became Buddhist in along the way. So I practice Buddhism, which is philosophy of mainly about this. What is the happiness? And for my deeper understanding of this philosophy, and in general, I like to read, and I think I'm quite a philosophical person, is that the only way one can become happy is to build up the life states where you can deal with anything which comes your way and turn the challenges into opportunities, or turn them into mission.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing your story today, Edin.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.